Hi, everyone. I've got Catherine here with me. I'm sure you know her as a Pilates and cycle instructor, but you probably don't know she's also CEO of Asthma in New Zealand. So I'm going to pick her brain a little bit today with a few questions. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Gosha. Great to be here. Yeah, it is a very different context for me. Most people will be used to seeing me in sweaty lycra. This is kind of a little bit of a change. So I do wear real clothes.
Same, kind of. Okay. So my first question is, Catherine, because I grew up in Poland. I don't know even one person with asthma, and I come to New Zealand, and everyone's got asthma, and including my two children. So, why does New Zealand have such a high rate of asthma?
Yeah, Gosha, look, we hear that all the time. And New Zealand does have one of the highest prevalences in the world of asthma. About 20% of our population live with asthma. So 20% of our gym members have asthma.
Wow.
1 in 8 won't even know it in actual fact. So it is quite remarkable. But there's a number of reasons for that. One is certainly based on the amount of nature we have around us. And sadly to say, as beautiful as all of our native trees are, as beautiful as all of the introduced fauna is, a lot of it gives off pollens, which are at a level that we can ingest. And for most of us, our lungs are fine with that. This week they'll just sort it out. But for anybody with asthma or allergies, it is a big trigger. The other reason is we're massive pet lovers. So whether we have a pet or not, the chances are we're interacting with somebody that's got a pet. Okay? And so that's another big trigger. 60% of asthma is triggered by allergies. The other reason, and this is a really big bugbear for Asthma New Zealand, it's one of our priority projects, is the quality of our housing. So, 53% of houses in New Zealand are actually unhealthy to live in. They are uninhabitable by standards. And depending on who you speak to, some people might say that there's actually higher than that. So that's a big contributor as well.
Wow.
So there are a number of factors, but the sad fact in New Zealand is we have the second highest rate of mortality for under 35-year-olds in the developed world, and that's largely because of our apathy towards asthma. We really don't respect it. We pay little regard for it. We would rather reach for a blue inhaler, and by that stage, we're probably looking for relief versus prevention.
Prevention, I see. So, what advice do you have for our members that have asthma and want to keep exercising in lockdown, because that's what they're really interested in that. So what advice do we have, Catherine?
When COVID first came into New Zealand, it sort of came in, there's never a good time for it to come in, but when it first came in, of course, we were in summer. And so, it made exercising and it made, exercising with asthma certainly a lot easier, because the cold is a big trigger for asthma. And so, it's one of the big reasons why a lot of people will come indoors over winter to keep their exercise going, because they've got the warmer conditions, although sometimes in that gym it's not warm, but by and large, the air doesn't hit the lungs to the degree that it does outside, and so it's a much safer environment to be working out in. So anybody with asthma can continue to work outside. There's a couple of things that they want to do. I'm going to say face mask, government telling us. But if we want to wear a face mask, what it does is it warms the air up as it comes into our respiratory tract. The second thing is, and anybody that's ever done my Pilates classes, in fact, even my spin classes, will hear me talking about breathing up and through the nose. So New Zealanders don't breathe well. We actually don't breathe well at all. I know that sounds crazy. If we were to all learn how to breathe better, it's another really powerful way of managing the way in which the air comes into your respiratory tract.
That's a good one. Do you think that we could show our kids, teach our kids to do that, to start with that? Because I asked my son what questions he would have for you, and he wanted me to ask, how do I get rid of it? How do I get rid of that asthma? It annoys him.
Yeah, we get asked all the time by kids, how do we get rid of it? And sadly you don't. Sadly it's one thing that you live with. And one of the one of the big issues that we hear people talking about is growing out of asthma. You don't grow out of it, unfortunately. But we keep a lot of people very, very mobile. What we define as living well with asthma is that if you have asthma and you can do everything that your non-asthmatic friends can do, you've got it well managed. And so, for your son, the first thing would be is to use his preventer. Okay, however, it might be once a day or it might be morning and night.
So that's the orange one, right?
Yeah, that's the orange. It can be orange. It can be red and white. It can be Brio, which is one a day, but it's a preventer, okay? And the thing with a preventer is it's kind of ironic. It takes about a month to kick in. Okay, so if you're going to jump onto a preventer now, don't expect a miracle cure overnight. The other thing with a preventer is that you will actually feel good. So don't stop using it.
Okay.
The number of times it does my head in. I'm talking to somebody and they're like, oh no, I was feeling so good. I just stopped using it. You were feeling good because you were using the preventer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you don't stop using the preventer. But I think the other thing that's really important is that you don't ever travel away from home or, even be in your home without, without your reliever, because you do need the reliever around. There's stress at the moment is sending asthma exacerbations up. Because that's also another big trigger. So, for all of our members, be kind. I know we're getting told this by our Prime Minister, and I had somebody say to me, how dare they tell us to be kind? I'm like, well, sadly, they have to.
They do.
Sadly, they have to, because we're actually not kind to ourselves first and foremost. So cut yourself some slack, and we do need to de-stress. That'll help a huge amount as well.
But breathing's so important. I got sidetracked a little bit from the exercising. What about the high intensity with asthma? High intensity training with asthma?
Yeah, look, we've got, we work with a lot of elite athletes, and I'm going to say, ironically, at the Sochi Winter Olympic Games, there are more athletes with asthma won medals than without asthma.
Oh,
so some of the most amazing athletes in the world. I mean, to say, Mike Tyson. Some will debate whether that's amazing or not. David Beckham. Julius Severe is severe asthmatic. There is so many, elite sportsmen with asthma. And I should say sportswoman as well. That's really, a faux pas on my part, and you would think I would know better. It shouldn't stop you from doing everything that everybody else can do if you have it well managed. Certainly, you need to consider how you train, and sometimes you have to train a little differently. Sometimes, in terms of the exhaustion, you need to build into it. You need to warm up, have your lungs warm. Whereas, in the winter, your team might be training outside. You can't train outside with them. If you want to do the intensity stuff, you've got to bring that indoors. Obviously, in lockdown, that's an added complication.
That brings me to another question now that you said that, because what about school when they take kids for a morning run? It's cold, like for my son, and he's got that asthma, and it's really cold. He's got short sleeves, and he runs around the block. Is that actually healthy?
Well, the short sleeves aren't the problem. It's the cold coming into the mouth and going down through the airways. That's going to cause a problem. And yes, without question, if he's not, if he's using his preventers well, they should act to support that. In saying that, though, what I would recommend that he does is use a face mask when he runs, or puts a bandana, a scarf,
Yes,
wears something,
something.
something
Yes.
up to warm the ear before it hits. That's why I refer back to breathing through the nose, because when you breathe through the
Mm-hmm.
nose, that airway does two things. It warms the air before it goes into the respiratory tract, but it also cleans. And so it can act as a microfilter. It doesn't necessarily microfilter out everything, and certainly not the really fine particulates that, asthma sufferers' lungs tend to respond to. But it can make a big difference.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that. One last question, Katrin. I won't take much more of your time. Just give us some of the most common myths about asthma.
I think there's a number, and we hear them all the time. The biggest one is that you grow out of it.
Yeah.
You don't grow out of asthma.
No, we don't.
No, you don't. And here's the rub, is that I don't have asthma. However, if I was to get something like pneumonia, what often occurs as a consequence of of a condition like pneumonia, or an illness like pneumonia, is the side effect can be asthma. So any one of us at any age, can end up with asthma.
Get it. Oh.
Yeah, and that's another myth. I think the other one is that we're using steroids in terms of the preventers. Look, trust me, the steroids in your preventer are not going to be sufficient enough to give you more energy to pump bigger iron. It's so minute. The other thing is that you do not become addicted. There is no addiction feature in any of the medication. Okay. So you cannot be addicted. I've not ever, psychologically, that's another conversation, but from a craving perspective, it's not a drug that you're craving for.
Yeah. Oh, Thank you so much, Katrin. Those were all my questions from me. Oh my God, I feel like I've learned so much more now.
Look, Gosha, I think that there is, New Zealand, as I said, we've got to come down that scale. We're at the wrong end for far too many wrong stats, and asthma death is one of them. I've had to sit with 5 mothers this year who have had to bury their children from asthma. And that's intolerable. That's insufferable. Yeah. So, we really need to start taking it seriously. And in the middle of a respiratory pandemic, now would probably be a really good time. So really, really, really happy to provide any of the health and sports members with support. They can phone us on 0800 227 328 anytime, and our nurses will be able to support them. So all our services are free, but really, really happy to support health and sports to keep our members moving, because moving forward, the only thing that's going to keep us healthy is movement, exercise, getting our bodies into a fit, healthy state.
And if we have some more questions, can we send you some more questions? If there's some more after this, would you be okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll provide you with all of our contact details.
Thank you so much, Katrin, for your time and for your support. And I hope you guys have learned a lot as well, just like I have. And we'll see you some other time, probably at the gym. Bye.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Gosha, thank you so much, and thank you for everything that all the staff are doing at Health and Sports. I know this is a really tough, rough time, and I know that you guys care for our members beyond caring. So thank you. And to all the members, hey, looking forward to seeing you back in Pilates and spin really soon.